The beginning of summer might have seemed a little quiet when it comes to immigration issues in Colorado. ICE seemed to be flying under the radar after Minneapolis. And it was probably only a month ago that Joel Newton at the Edgewater Collective explained right here on this podcast that the lack of splashy ICE raids did not mean that ICE was actually backing off, just that the surge was being handled differently. Well, it's sure not quiet now. Not with 2 people killed in Houston and in Maine during ICE traffic stops. And right here in Colorado, there was a shooting outside the Geo Detention Center in Aurora. So much going on. And to sort out what's happening in our state, we're talking today with someone who spends most of her life these days within activist circles. This is getting to be a regular thing, talking to Dana Miller. But she knows everything about immigration issues in Colorado. She's the lead of Denver's Immigrant Partnership Teams. You really, when we were talking in advance of doing this interview, there were about 12 things we can talk about today. There's so much going on.
Lots going on.
Which is weird because for the first half of the summer, it seemed like everything was really quiet. Was that just me?
No, there's a surge going on.
There's a surge. Yeah, I understand now that the surge. It's just not Minneapolis level in terms of media coverage and so forth.
No.
Okay,
but there's been a lot of activity in the last few weeks. There's a lot more detaining happening.
Okay, so let's talk about ICE surge. Let's talk about Geo in Aurora, and let's talk about possible Geo in Hudson. And there are many. Let's start with ICE.
The New York Times, about a week ago, put out a piece that said that 10,000 people had been detained in the previous 5 days. So it's happening all over the country. It's just not in the same way it was in Minneapolis. It's, they're just picking up people all over the place.
I understand that you're now you meaning Immigrant Partnership Teams, are part of an End ICE Flights nationwide coalition.
Yes.
Why and what might it accomplish?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm very, very, very excited to talk to y'all about this today. Because, number one, Chris Hansen at 9 News led a multi-state investigative team the last few months to create a 50-minute documentary about, it's called ICE Air Inside ICE's, I can't remember exactly the name, Secret Deportation Network or something like that. So it is now out for people to watch. So it basically is letting people know what is actually happening between the time that people are getting detained, ending up at detention centers, and then potentially being deported. We know a lot about what it's like for people when they get picked up, the violent nature of that. And we're learning more and more now about detention centers and what's happening in detention centers, like in Delaney Hall or the Dilley Detention Center or our own Geo Detention Center. But people they don't really know what happens. How are we getting people all over the country to all these different centers? And it is a kind of behind the scenes network of airlines, air charters, which includes Key Lime, and airlines like Global X, Eastern Air Express, Air Wisconsin. And what happens is that it's just ridiculous. They're taking people. So, for example, they could pick up somebody here in Denver.
Yeah.
They take them to the ICE field office and process them. They put them on the bus and take them over to the Geo Detention Center in Aurora. And then in the middle of the night, they could put them on a bus, take them out to DIA. And there are now ICE flights going in and out of DIA. It's not at the main terminal, so people don't see it. So some of the activist group that I hang out with, we went out to the airport not long ago and tried to film and document Key Lime airplanes that had come in and from places like Fort Hood they go to the Signature Aviation, and the bus that we assume is from GEO with detainees on it is there, and then they load the airplane with shackled detainees who are shackled by the wrists, the waist, and their ankles onto the airplane. Those particular airplanes then go on to Mesa, Arizona. But if anybody watches the documentary that was just being made by 9 News, these airplanes are going crisscrossing the country for no apparent reason. They're called shuffle flights, and there's a lot of evidence that the reason they're doing this is to separate people from their families, so the families can't track the detainees, or their legal help can't track where they're going. So they're basically trying to hide detainees. So they literally can be sent to Minneapolis and then down to Miami, and then all of a sudden they're in Tacoma, Washington, and then they're put back in a detention center. I mean, it's insane. And the amount of money that taxpayer money that goes to these charter flights, from what I hear, the amount of money for this secret airplane system is more than we're paying for the whole detention system.
And that's a lot, being private prisons mostly.
It's a lot. Yeah. So we are now part of a nationwide coalition of the coolest aviation nerds you could even imagine. And they are people who have figured out a way to track ICE flights all over the country.
Great. And
there are now people in cities, at airports all across the country, who are taking pictures, doing video, and all of this archiving. All this video is going to be archived, hopefully in a place like the Marshall Project. So perhaps in a Nuremberg type situation in the future, they could be used to document what has been happening.
Yeah, I wondered what the goal was. Exposition, exposing them.
That's part of it. And just letting people know that this is happening. I mean, the general public has no idea that these people are getting put on these airplanes and flown all around, and they have no idea where they are. They don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
It's horrific.
And you have protests planned for the next week or so?
Yes. So these aviation nerds are planning their blessed souls, we're doing a nationwide week of protest, a week of action, starting the 25th and going through August 1st. And what we're doing here in Denver is we're going to do some billboard presences. We're doing overpass protests. Plus, we're doing a press conference on Saturday. Please come. Everyone, please.
At the Capitol, right?
At the Capitol, the west steps of the Capitol at 10:30. And there's a few points of this press conference. One of them is more talk about that Key Lime is involved in this evil system. Also, it's an educational piece, but we're also going to have some calls to action. And we're working on the calls to action this week. And it could be that one of the calls to action is we need to find out, and we actually have some great allies on Denver City Council. So this is I don't think this is going to be a terribly difficult thing to do. But we need to find out if Denver already has security cameras to watch what's going on at Signature Aviation. If they do, we want to figure out a way that we can have access to monitor that footage, or at least be able to Cora request footage, so that but that's something we're working on like this week. I'm not sure where that's going to lead, but that might be one of the calls to action. Is we're going to ask people to get a hold of City Council and partner with community groups to figure out how to better surveil what they're doing.
And people would find out specifics about this by going to
Oh, I hate it when you ask me that, Chris.
I know.
Because we don't have a website. I
Well, you're going to be at the West Steps of the Capitol on Saturday at
yeah,
10:30. Is that
yeah.
what you said? Okay, they can go
Yeah,
there.
and if people are on Facebook, it's Immigrant Partnership Teams Colorado.
Okay. We'll
Or
put
if
that.
they're on Instagram, it's Colorado IPT or Denver IPT.
Okay. There are many ways to follow up. Okay,
Yeah, or they can email me.
okay, which is pompomdana@gmail.com.
You know, I love this, Chris, that
I
you
know. Well,
have my
this is like the
email.
third time you've been on here, and
I just love that you remembered that.
she's the
It's so
cheerleader.
kind of you. Cheerleader for
Now,
the universe.
okay, we want to talk about a couple of other things. One is
Yeah.
crap that's been happening at Geo
Yeah.
with the guy who shot the woman in the foot, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Is there anything new on that? This is bring people up to speed.
Yeah, this was Thursday night. There was another protest out there in the evening, and from what I've learned from press is that some of the protesters had blocked the entryway into the parking lot, and so there were some employees that were in their cars trying to get into the parking lot. Couple of women who were there for the protest, I guess, started saying things, like you guys are Nazis, or I don't know what she said, but they were
Angry
interacting.
things, yeah.
Angry things. So so the two women started walking away. This guy got out of his car, from what I hear. Brandon Booth is his name, and he pulled out a gun and he shot Emma Landis, and it went through her ankle, and she is now cannot put any weight on it for 6 to 8 weeks. Can't work. 21-year-old, just a wee thing.
And he's in
And
jail.
she came back yesterday to Geo. There was another protest at Geo tomorrow, and she came back to talk to everybody, and that was covered by the press quite a bit.
Sure.
And then today, we had a protest out at the ICE field office where 4 people were arrested.
For what?
We did a die-in thing, and then people were standing in front of one of the exits in the entrances, blocking the entrance. But still, they were still on private property. I'm sorry, public property. They were not on private property. So police show, SWAT team shows up. They keep saying you're, order to disperse, which, bless these activists, they're like, I'm not going to disperse. And there were some shuffles, and there were 4 people detained, including one of our friends at First Unitarian. So what ended up happening is they ended up taking them inside the building, and then they gave them citations and let them leave. So we were all waiting for them outside when they came out. They were given different charges, and I'm not sure exactly what they were. I think at least one of them might have gotten both Arapahoe County charges and also federal charges, because I think somebody might have stepped over into the private area. But I'm not absolutely sure about that. I know they have charges, so I'm sure there'll be a whole lot of drop the charges, a lot more protests. Are we all going to go to court? Are we all going to, so that is a whole, and that has just gone viral. There is stuff all over the internet right now about what happened this morning at the Geo Detention Center. And we're not even talking about Hudson. We haven't even talked about Hudson.
I know, but it is a good segue to Hudson, which has been approved and given funding to open an old prison for another detention facility. And I know you've been fighting against it, but to no avail.
Yeah. Well, we're not sure.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I have a tendency to look at things, glasses half full. And I think, I don't know about this, but Well, first of all, we have been protesting out there, and people have been going to city council, town council there for over a year. It's been a long, involved process. And then all of a sudden, they announced that this, that it's going to happen, and then that went completely viral across the country.
Right.
And then the other night, we had a protest. I think it was last Wednesday. We all went up to city council, and there was like 3 hours, I think, of public comment. Julie Gonzalez spoke. She came. We had other electeds come and speak. Really powerful testimony. Really powerful public comment. There were some situations that kind of went a little south in terms of, the youngins have a tendency to get kind of raucous, but all in all, I think it went well, and we have actually we think that there might be some openings. We think we're not absolutely sure, but we're thinking some of the town council people may be moving their positions on things.
Could they block it? Could they refuse?
Don't know. Maybe. There's a lot of things they could do. I mean, like in Social Circle, Georgia, the town manager said, "You're not getting any water. We're not going to let you have a water tap." So, I mean, there's things that can happen. I don't know what's going to happen because it's really complicated.
This is,
But
it's a very active summer, isn't it? Very, with all these things going on. I can barely keep track of all of them.
One of the things that I'm thrilled about is we've just gotten so much flippin' press across the country. There's so much information about Hudson now, and that's really helpful.
Well, how are you doing in terms of volunteers for the Immigrant Partnership Teams? I'm thinking.
Oh, everybody I know that is involved in activist work, and maybe this is just garden variety stuff. We always feel like we don't have enough volunteers. And we always feel like people go, "What can I do? What can I do?" And then you tell them what to do, and then they don't do anything. So I resort to the Margaret Mead quote about, what is the one about? It's always a small group of people.
Yeah. In fact, it's
that one, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
And so in a weird way, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with a handful of really, really committed people versus like 40, 50, 100 people they might show up, they might not show up. They're on the list, but we don't know if they. No.
Yeah.
And I think you guys probably have the same issue with social justice stuff.
Right. So
remind
me again, and we'll put up a slide that says the Facebook and the Instagram places that people can get information.
Sure. The Facebook page is Immigrant Partnership Teams Colorado.
Gotcha.
The Instagram pages are Colorado IPT and Denver IPT. And we just started another Instagram page called ICE Out of DIA. And what we're doing on that is we're posting how many ICE flights are coming in and out of Denver every day so that people learn about that.
Okay. Thank you for bringing us up to speed on the how many things there are right now. And, and I hope you have time to breathe over the summer and maybe
absolutely.
Get some more committed volunteers.
We will. People are coming and going, and we're getting things done.
Dana, why do you do this?
I don't know.
Yes,
I've always been an activist. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just part of. I was thinking about this, and you might remember that there was a quote of a woman who said something like, the day she dies, she wants to like just come into her house and she's like all disheveled and she's been working really hard at something she really loves. And she just, comes in doing the, just living her life fully and then dies rather than, like having to stop one's life and then go through a long, aging process. I would love it if at this active pace of doing this work, that I can do this until the day I die. And I guess that's just the deal.
That's who you are. Thanks for the updates. We really appreciate it. Good luck.
We love you.
Good luck.
Love you so much. Thank you.
Bye. See you later. You'll find several more ideas for resistance work on the Faithful Resistance page of commonflameuu.org. And if you have ideas and connections for other people to interview, email us, faithfulresistance@commonflameuu.org. Do your best to keep putting love at the center and keep on doing the next right thing. Go out and do the next right thing.